California Governor Gavin Newsom is now calling his city's homeless encampments unacceptable, which is odd since he's the guy who, made them acceptable, turning sidewalks into red carpet events for drug addicts, thieves, and unemployed CNN anchors. On Monday, he urged cities to ban the camps from sidewalks, parks, and other public areas. So after years of denying the problem, he's now pretending to fix it, which is like putting on a condom as you're leaving a whorehouse.
Greg Gutfeld just scorched Gavin Newsom's spotless image, leaving nothing but smoke, ego, and that frozen politician's grin. In a takedown so fierce it shook liberal comfort zones, Gutfeld tore through Newsom's hypocrisy, mocked his hollow policies, and exposed him as a governor blindsided in the glare of a primetime inferno. This wasn't a roast, it was a political demolition, and Newsom, he never saw it coming.
So Newsom is fed up with tent cities, the crime, the urban decay? No, he's not mad about that stuff. He's mad you noticed. It's like a criminal telling a jury he's sorry he robbed 25 banks when he's just sorry he got caught on the 26th. Because this isn't some spontaneous crisis. It's a man-made disaster like Chernobyl or Fox and Friends.
Welcome to Gutfeld, completely unleashed. It began like any ordinary night on Gutfeld's stage. Bright lights blazing, a coffee mug in hand, and that sly grin cutting across his face like a blade about to strike. But this wasn't business as usual. The jokes were sharper, the tone colder. Tonight, Greg Gutfeld wasn't hosting, he was hunting. His target, California's polished political prince, Gavin Newsom, the man whose hair campaigns harder than he does, gliding through press events as if every podium were his runway for another glossy photo op.
Took common sense as his high ground.
Right.
There's no place outside of it.
That's right.
And so they're stuck in this horrible, horrible place, much like you, Jamie, and your life. As California falls apart, it must remind you somewhat of your own personal life.
Yeah. Sometimes I look at footage of California and I go, oh, look how much better it is than my life.
If this takedown already has you hooked, hit subscribe, because standing in Gutfeld's crosshairs was the ultimate poster boy for progressive perfection. Or at least that's the part Gavin Newsom loves to play. Beneath the shine, though, sits a mountain of failures stacked higher than unpaid fines. And Gutfeld didn't just call them out, he blew them apart. With the precision of a late-night host done pretending, he shredded Newsom's image like a rejected Hollywood script. Flashy, overhyped, and begging for a rewrite. Let's rewind. For years, Newsom has coasted on that golden boy glow within the left.
So why do I keep bringing up Gavin? Well, other than my respect for his work in American Psycho, he's starting to distance himself from his party's worst ideas. Newsom, a guy who hates fossil fuels but could still bring down the price of gas by wringing out his hair, once proclaimed that his state would be a sanctuary to all who seek it. Then people actually came.
He flashes a smile fit for a toothpaste commercial, tossing out buzzwords like he's headlining a TED Talk, strutting as if California were his flawless creation. But beyond the staged briefings and glittering dinners, reality outside the governor's mansion is collapsing. And Greg Gutfeld wasn't about to let that fantasy slide. The moment he stepped onto the stage, the air shifted. You could feel it. No warm-up, no soft landing, just a sharp wave of truth slicing clean through Newsom's carefully protected ego. Gutfeld began by tearing away the glossy veneer, revealing the rot festering beneath California's shine.
You conflate order with authoritarianism, you get chaos and destruction. So if restoring order is evil, then the Dems are now the party of disorder. Turns out the only system they had was wokeism, and it rotted any basic principles the party had to begin with. Which is why, like Gavin himself, they're left looking at 2028's hopes going up in flames. And this time, no one is going to help them put it out.
The so-called model of progress Newsom parades now looks like a state buckling under its own weight. Streets have turned into sprawling tent cities while taxes soared so high even Elon Musk sprouted wings and escaped to Texas. And when it came to crime, Gutfeld didn't need to exaggerate. The truth already screamed loud enough. Smash and grabs shattered storefronts, carjackings became routine, and through it all, Newsom clung desperately to his golden fairy tale. Yet somehow, Newsom still found time to lecture other states, preaching morality, freedom, and leadership as if he were America's guiding light. That's when Gutfeld turned up the heat.
Problem is his track record, his performance as mayor, as lieutenant governor and governor. And your analogies are great. I think mine are better. And just hold on. And here's why. He shows up at the fires and says, who the hell caused this? I'm going to crack down on the people responsible. He sees the homeless encampments blocking the sidewalks and said, you guys clean that up. He started it. He spent $3 billion to fix it. And his opening words in 2020 when he got the job is a disgrace. The richest state in the country and the richest nation of the world has a homeless problem. I will fix it. He spends $1 billion when it's not fixed. He blames the mayors, and he also forced the movie industry and Silicon Valley out of the best state in the country by high taxes. I've never seen someone with such a bad performance, but yet I think he's the front runner to get the nomination for the Democratic Party.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. They got nobody else. Sherrod, welcome back.
This wasn't just hypocrisy, it was political theater. And Newsom, the overpaid actor, fumbling his lines. Gutfeld laid it out perfectly. A governor scolding Florida over book bans while students in his own state struggle to read. Condemning Texas for abortion laws while his streets drown in fentanyl and forgotten lives. The irony hit like thunder. Laughter erupted, not out of rage, but from razor-sharp sarcasm cutting deeper than fury ever could. Then came the finale. Newsom's stage, his spotlight, his so-called moment to shine. With that sly grin, Gutfeld painted a ruthless picture. California's middle class was disappearing faster than water in the desert. Small businesses locked their doors for good, while Hollywood elites and tech billionaires toasted champagne behind gated walls.
So last week, Newsom said he hopes the conservative Supreme Court will overturn the current law that bans his state from removing out-of-control homeless encampments. Imagine that. Well, what did you expect, Gavin? That the sanctuary seekers were going to show up in Winnebagos? Once again, another example of a high-profile lib using his big mouth to write a check his ass can't cash. Last year, after the Texas Governor Abbott ordered that parents of transitioning children should face criminal investigation, Newsom then tweeted this: trans kids and their families should be celebrated, not targeted by the state. They are heroes. And so to fearful families in Texas right now, California's door is always open to you.
And there stood Gavin, smiling, flawless, hair sculpted to perfection, as if the suffering around him were nothing but background scenery for his next campaign ad. But Gutfeld wasn't chasing laughs. He came armed with truth. Newsom, for all his photo ops and polished sound bites, wasn't just flawed. He was driving people out. Families fled not out of choice, but survival. Proud businesses packed up, desperate to escape a state that punished them for enduring. Even lifelong residents asked, how did California fall this far? And Gutfeld, never missing a beat, locked onto the man steering California's sinking ship. It was like watching a magic act unravel in reverse. Every illusion Newsom built peeled away piece by piece. The economic growth he bragged about? Smoke and mirrors. His climate crusade. Empty gestures wrapped in solar panels and PR glitter.
What do you think about Gavin Newsom? What's going on there?
I don't know. I don't know how they bump out Kamala out of VIP, put a white male in there and take her out. She's got too much of an ego to just step aside. She's going to go crazy if they try to do that.
Plus, she had a strong 2% support, so don't forget that.
Yeah, but she's waiting for that spot to just open for her, and then you put a white male in there.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to put. I mean, they did it to Bernie. They threw him under the bus two presidential ones in a row. They just gave him a couple extra houses in Vermont. Go, yeah, you got some extra money. But I don't know how they could do it with her.
Yeah, it'd be great if they threw her under the bus, because she really likes buses, remember?
Even his compassion was staged, lasting only as long as the cameras rolled. Then came the blow that silenced the room. Not anger, but clarity sharp enough to cut steel. Gutfeld compared Newsom's California to a mansion gleaming with spotless windows and manicured lawns. But inside, the walls reeked of mold, and the foundation was cracking, a glittering shell hiding decay. He called it what it was, a house held up by slogans, collapsing under the weight of its own shine. That was Gavin Newsom's California, a dazzling disaster wrapped in progressive paper. The crowd gasped, then laughed, not because it was exaggerated, but because it was true. California wasn't a beacon, it was a warning. The crowd wasn't laughing at a joke, they were laughing because it was true. No exaggeration needed, just perfect timing. Gutfeld delivered each line with surgical precision. Meanwhile, Gavin, whether lounging in luxury or posing at another velvet-draped podium, probably flashed that trademark grin convinced no late-night host could touch him, but he was wrong, completely wrong. Gutfeld didn't just crack the armor, he shattered it and walked straight through the wreckage. This wasn't debate, it was demolition. And from the ruins came something colder.
Californians used to sell maps of celebrity homes, not landmines. Now, instead of sightseeing, tourists play hopscotch so their shoes don't get hepatitis. And when residents complain, they're called cruel. And now we're supposed to believe Gavin? Hell no. All the problems of the last decade were based on his and his party's lies.
Whispers of presidential ambition, the very danger Gutfeld had warned about. This wasn't simple hypocrisy or incompetence. It was the audacious plan to spread California's chaos across the nation. The idea sent chills. If California was the experiment, Newsom was the lab-coated architect, and America, the next test subject. Gutfeld wasn't about to let that nightmare unfold unchecked. Gutfeld wasn't letting him off easy. He wrapped it up with a deadpan mic drop only he could deliver. A sly smirk, a slow sip from his mug, and a glance that said it all. We see you, Gavin. No amount of hair gel could gloss over this disaster. What made it unforgettable wasn't just the laughter, it was the precision, the sting of truth. Gutfeld dismantled Newsom's shining myth with nothing but wit and cold, undeniable facts. No theatrics, no shouting, just sarcasm wielded like a scalpel, slicing clean while reality did the rest. That's what made it brutal.
Then came the national polling by overwhelming majorities. It turns out Americans don't favor minors transitioning. So last week, when a California law was proposed that judges in custody cases favor the parent who supports transitioning a child's new gender, Newsom killed that law quicker than a late-term abortion. Yeah, I know, huh? Now the left, being the left, was outraged, but they missed something, because now Newsom says he only vetoed it since it's already the law.
He led viewers straight into San Francisco's decay. Billionaires stepping around human waste on their way to dinner. Businesses collapsing under lawlessness. Every word painted the picture clearly. Gavin Newsom's California isn't a model. It's a flashing neon warning. Gutfeld zeroed in on the hypocrisy with surgical precision. There was Gavin, imposing lockdowns, mask mandates, and shutting down schools, churches, and small businesses, while dining maskless at the French Laundry, clinking glasses with the elite as if rules were made only for everyone else. Gutfeld didn't need to rage. He let the absurdity speak for itself, letting the audience laugh at the injustice. The punchlines hit hard, not as jokes, but as undeniable truths whispered for too long. Then came the exodus, families fleeing in waves, searching for states where leaders didn't treat them like burdens. The laughter filled the room, but behind it lingered a grim truth. This was migration born from failure.
Gavin ponders why Dems lost.
We lost the popular vote and we lost the electoral vote. We got crushed. And we need to be humble about that, and we need to have some grace, and we need to understand why. Was it because of the incumbency penalty? Was it because of inflation? Was it because of interest rates? Was it because of immigration? Was it because we were too, quote unquote, woke? Was it because of issues with Israel? Was it all of the above? I think we are going through that forensic. We need to understand it. At the same time, we also have to push back against the whitewaters and headwinds of the Trump administration.
That was Gutfeld's brilliance. Not just the facts, but the effortless way he stripped off Newsom's mask, revealing the hollow face beneath without even breaking a sweat. He spoke of a man who lives for the camera, scolding entire states with a wagging finger, building a national image from scripted outrage and perfectly rehearsed indignation. Gavin Newsom, the billboard for style over substance, wasn't spared for a second. Behind the shine and the flawless hair, Gutfeld exposed the raw truth. A political mannequin, polished for headlines but hollow when reality strikes. He leaned hard into the absurdity of Newsom's ambitions. The whispered rumor that California's prince has his eyes on the White House. The very idea that a governor presiding over a free-falling state could sell that chaos to the rest of America was pure comedy gold.
Voters. He's the classic wolf in sheep's hair gel. Just watch him answer the tough questions.
Any other questions here?
Yes, Governor. California has a terrible homeless problem. Why do you think that is?
I appreciate that question. And I think it's a matter of perspective. Let's kind of flip the script on that, okay? Let's kind of put a new lens on that. I mean, you see a homeless man. I see an outdoorsman. We got a lot of natural habitat in this state, and I'm just so proud that so many people in California can take advantage of that. All right, next question.
Gutfeld mined every bit of it with precision, yet the brilliance wasn't cruelty, it was clarity. The kind of humor that cuts deep because it's true. Every jab, every smirk, every perfectly timed pause carried one message. This isn't leadership, it's branding. And that brand is collapsing under its own weight, live before millions. Gutfeld didn't shout. He didn't need theatrics. He simply let truth do the wrecking. That night, it wasn't politics that hit Gavin Newsom. It was reality itself. And Greg Gutfeld delivered it like a freight train of truth, leaving Newsom still reeling, wondering what hit him. If you like this video, then hit the subscribe button.